Hi guys. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Mars, aka the masculine energy, which is very important to our manifestations because Mars is all about taking action. It gives us the confidence and the drive to materialize our manifestations. So it's a very important planet to pay attention to, whether you're masculine or feminine. We have both energies. It just depends which one you lean more so into, which one is more prominent. But Mars is going to be going through the area of the sky that has to do with healing, death, rebirth, change, transformation, transmutation. So we can kind of elevate the ways that we materialize things in this reality. And masculine energies are, the masculine is definitely going through an upgrade with this too. So we're going to talk about it. And we're going to go through all the signs so you can know exactly how you can use this energy for you. I'm going to, talk about the houses that Mars rules for your sign, because this is just an extra little guidance for you. And hi, if you don't know me, my name is Jenna. I talk about astrology and energy updates here, and I like to give you information to help you co-create with the universe so you can manifest with the universe in the best way possible. As manifestation is powerful on its own, but if you're manifesting with a lot more self-awareness and with, an extra boost from the universe, then we can manifest like the billionaires do. The billionaires and the people who run this world definitely use the true sky to manifest and do their rituals and all of that. But we're going to be using it for good. Obviously, we're using it to get in touch with the natural cycles and rhythms of the universe. And we're working with God, source, prime creator, whatever you want to call it. Because if you're not connecting to the energy for the highest good of all, then you're doing witchcraft. So we need to be connecting with God, source, energy when we're manifesting, because otherwise, you don't want to manifest with the other way. So Mars right now, beautiful. It's in Scorpio, and it's right on in Taurus, which is the heart of the Scorpion. So the masculine energy right now is going very deep within. Scorpio is where we really just need to face our inner shadow. We need to go within. And this is where the masculine energy can get very balanced out. Because healthy masculine energy always goes within first to do that deep alignment and do that soulful discovery, which is all of what Scorpio is about. It's all about going within and facing what is deeply meaningful to your soul at that higher level. And that's the only way to get in touch with the higher levels of manifesting, is when you go within and you connect with your soul and you're connecting to the higher energies. It does take a lot of work, if a lot of shadow work and everything. So you realize you're not taking action out of fear, out of guilt, out of shame. There's so much fear, shame, and guilt programs in the world right now, because that's what keeps us in the lower chakras, which unfortunately most people are in the lower chakras and manifesting from the lower chakras. So it doesn't work as well, because to manifest in the best way, we need to be connecting to the higher chakras in our higher selves. But fear, it is the root chakra, so it's activating the negative part of the root chakra. So you're acting out of survival and out of scarcity and out of, violent, you're just scared. There's more fear in the world, because of all the wars and all the violence and the news and all of that, saying like the world is a scary place. So you have a lot of fear. And so you're acting from fear. Shame is where, we have a lot of trauma with our second chakra, which is the creative chakra, where we kind of suppress our creativity. We suppress our true selves, because we don't want to be weird. There's so many things in society saying, don't be weird. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be strange. Like nobody goes and creates something like that, or, you can't really stand out. Scorpio is where we majorly suppress our true selves sometimes, because we're afraid of what will they say? so we don't create the thing that we really want to create. We don't go after the thing that we really want, because it'll make us, feel joyful. Like healthy Scorpio energy is actually all about being unapologetic about pursuing your joy. And your joy is different because it's not the thing that'll make you happy in the short term. It's not, just the short-term gratifications. It's going after that soulful joy and allowing yourself to kind of go over the threshold, and having that courage, because the courage is what gets you into the heart, to really go after that thing, create that thing, go after your manifestations instead of suppressing yourself out of like shame, suppressing your true like soul desires to really express yourself fully. Healthy Scorpio energy is all about letting that life force energy, that soul energy that is purely yours, and externalizing it out into the world. And so that does help us become more of an individual too. There's a lot of programs also saying like, don't be an individual. Like you can't be weird. You gotta move in a way that is only for this external validation, to look this certain way in society, to be this type of person. There's only a couple type of persons that you can be because of your sex or your age or your, all the different ways. Like society says, you have to only be this person, versus actually, really actualizing yourself, in a way that is really true to you. So when Mars is in Scorpio, this is the way that we can really realize that we haven't been taking action, from a place that is like really from that place that is truly us. Because Scorpio energy does have the broader picture in mind. So it doesn't mind kind of like waiting back a little bit and waiting for that right time to really move for that longer term gratification. This is where we can recognize where we have been censoring ourselves or repressing ourselves and really kind of work through those things. And then this is also where we can really develop a healthy identity that is just true to us. If it wasn't for Mars, it wouldn't allow us to really just be in our ego in the first place and to really express our own individual, like tiny little fractal that we are of, all that is, and really like just focusing on our own individual expression out in the world. And that's why this world is so beautiful too, because there are so many different life forms, so many different ways to live, so many different ways to be out in the world. And it's because of Mars, that we can do this, that we can allow like all other ways of being in all like different kind of forms of like all that is to exist here in such a beautiful variety, is because of that individuating force. So when we're really getting clear about our identity, which we can actually, Mars going through Scorpio and then going through Ophiuchus too, are you being who society told you to be, who your family told you to be, who TV told you to be, who school, society, all of that? Or are you being who you really truly came here to be? And how you know that is like, who would you be if you were kind of all alone, Because the most magnetic and successful people are the people that come here and define themselves on their own terms, So a good practice for this is, who would you be if there weren't any more rules or judgments or perceptions that you had to worry about? Who are you in that reality? And you can, like, who are you at home by yourself? And who would you be that is the most comfortable version of you, and the most like fun and the most expressive, or whatever, whoever you really want to be, whoever really lights your soul on fire. how can you really externalize that? It's your character. You can define your character, your habits, your standards, your emotions. Where we get lost sometimes is like thinking about who we should be to get that or to be validated for that versus really just getting in tune with your natural essence and who you truly are and what brings your soul that pure joy. It's powerful to do this with Mars and Scorpio because we're going internal. We're getting aligned internally. We're not getting aligned externally. And that is always the most powerful way to manifest, actually, is realizing your creative power and your creative consciousness internal first and then externalizing. Because the world, like since we've been so backwards trained into thinking that we got to go external first, usually we get stuck in like reacting and then, just like looking externally again versus going internal, getting that awareness, being really true to yourself, getting those downloads, really listening to your higher self and your imagination and just like what's going on internally and then creating. Okay. So let's look at Mars's journey. So it's actually in Ophiuchus for longer than it is in Scorpio. So Mars is going to be in Scorpio until the 29th. And then it enters Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is leg. So, I just want to go through his journey. And then it goes into Sagittarius on the 17th. So you see right there, oh my God, it's so exact, on the 17th. And then, this is kind of where it goes through the death and rebirth process. I think it's like really when it goes through this kind of like really light area. But, how this part of the chart, like it is said, when the sun goes through it, it does actually stop for 3 days. And I don't know if this, program does it. I haven't found a program that is really true to the sky, with this kind of death and rebirth thing. But that, this is a common story that we have all heard about in all religions, basically, that is about the death, rebirth, and resurrection. Jesus, obviously. I mean, Jesus is probably the most popular one that we've all heard about. And these are all people that have been born on December 25th. And, this is literally the story of the sun. Every single year it goes through this area of the chart. And, it is right here. And then it's supposed to stop at some point before it gets into really Sagittarius. But yeah, it's 3 days where it's kind of just paused and then it gets resurrected. And Jesus, Horus, Attis, Mithras, Krishna, Buddha, Hercules, Osiris, all kind of have this death and rebirth story. And they were all born on December 25th. So this is a very important area of the cosmos. All religions actually point to this area of the cosmos because this is how we ascend. This whole part of the chart. It's literally the most important part of the chart. Ophiuchus is the most important sign because he is the only man of the zodiac. And all the other zodiacs are just an archetypal energy dealing with the inner beast of humans. And I've been going on this whole like studying the cosmos and ancient history, like real ancient history, not like before the Greeks, because everything that the Greeks came up with was actually from the Egyptians. Like getting into Tiamat and everything. Where is she? Let's see. Tiamat, here she is. This is the primordial dragon mother, right below Aries. And FYI, the older the zodiac, the more ancient the zodiac is, the bigger it is. So if you want to get into like the ancient constellations, you want to look at the huge ones, because this is Tiamat. The whole reason why, the womb of the solar system, basically, and her husband that's kind of attached to her here. This is Apsu. But yeah, the zodiac actually really does kind of sound like the 11 monsters that Tiamat birthed, because, she was pissed that Marduk came in and killed her husband. And, he was creating a lot of problems in the first place. And the gods were creating a lot of problems. The husband was pissed. He's like, let's kill all the children because they're causing a lot of problems. And then she's like, oh no, that was a bad idea. No, let's not do that. And then one of them kills him. And then shit went down. And, we'll get into that. There's a whole lot that actually goes into that whole story. If you want to look into the Enuma Elish, then you can find out a little bit more about that story. But right now we're going to focus, because the masculine going through a death rebirth, focusing on healing and transmutation. So I'm going to talk about the light aspects of the masculine and then the shadow. So we can just be aware of that. So we can head towards the good and not the bad, because that's the only options for Mars. You go towards the good or you go towards the bad. And it's very important to, have it very balanced and just be aware. Okay, so Mars, when healthy, it is the masculine force. It's activating, it's moving upward. It is supposed to ascend more towards the light. It is the forward motion. It's the materialization of things. And it is dividing, but it's dividing in the way that it's individuating. It's like, okay, I am me, you are you. And, we all get to respect each other's ways of being out in the world. It's what allows contraries to exist in this reality, how this world can be filled with forms of every kind versus just everyone being the same, which is, what you will find in the higher dimensions, but not in this dimension. This is what kind of makes this dimension a little bit more interesting. It's the primordial force that does separate good and evil. So that's why there's two options. You literally can go good or evil. It sets boundaries. It knows what is resonant with you and yourself, and it'll set boundaries, for your dreams, for your visions, towards your own life force and your soul expression in this reality. And a healthy Mars will compel the ego to evolve towards the light, towards connection to the whole, actually, because a healthy Mars does have a healthy relationship to the feminine, actually. And that's the only way for both the masculine and the feminine to be its healthiest, is if they're balancing each other out, bringing a little bit of unity and that internal awareness. So in that spiritual connection, so you are creating, with that, being in touch with that. So the shadow part of Mars is being too self-centered, too material, too focused on the 3D. There's a big shadow of Mars out in reality right now. And that kind of makes sense, because Mars, if you look at Mars, it's a dead planet. It got destroyed when that planet in between, Jupiter and Mars blew up. I think that was Tiamat's watery planet, actually. That kind of took out Mars, and it started a whole new era for Earth. If you look at the Younger Dryas period, I'm pretty sure that's kind of when that all went down on Earth, because Earth got a lot more water. Just Earth was completely a chilled out planet for like 2,000 years, and then it came back fresher than ever. And I think it's because the planet exploded. And, there's evidence like that layer of soot that's all over the Earth that archaeologists can't really figure out. that was the Younger Dryas period. And then, Earth came back thriving and more brilliant than ever with a lot more intelligence, actually, because we got all that water intelligence from that planet onto this planet. Anyway, shadow is, so it masculine energy is a little bit mimicking dead planet Mars right now because it's regressed. So, coming back, I guess, we're trying to balance out the masculine energy. But yeah, there's an opportunity to transcend by, again, connecting to the spiritual again, not being too materialistic, recognizing those impulses when you are too materialistic, when you're leaning too much on looking at the 3D for evidence of everything, when you can't do that, when you're trying to find evidence of everything, because to find evidence of everything, you have to get in touch with your soul, and that's the only way to get in touch with the higher dimensions. So that, or shadow masculine energy, looks for science explanations, literal explanations, logical explanations only. It relies too heavily on machines and technology. And that's actually going to lead us down, a regressive timeline, because if we're leaning on that stuff too much, like our own organic body has way more technology and nature has way more technology and is actually far more advanced than we give it credit for. Because right now we're trying to engineer babies and everything, and just trying to fix the environment, ourselves, when the earth has fixed itself many times before. We actually kind of need to get out of the way and do less. But an unhealthy Mars will be very egotistical and just push forward relentlessly without getting that connection to all that is and for what's good for the highest good of all and what's good for everybody. So unhealthy Mars will be hyper futuristic, wanting to constantly push forward, go, 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 growth only, go conquer the other planets. The stock market can only go up. And it tries to control the feminine. Because it sees the feminine as weak. So it tries to push the feminine away and then control it and just kind of conquer everything else. Unhealthy Mars will always want to be ahead of its enemies and wanting to conquer all its enemies. And it just leads to, we've done this before. We've done this reality before with the Atlantis period, where we started merging beasts with humans and just creating crazy scientist projects and everything. And, that's when Enlil came in and said, nope. And that's when humanity ended last time, before the Younger Dryas period. Because the earth is feminine. The earth isn't energetically going to allow that to happen. So, there needs to be a healthy feminine energy and, a healthy, what is good for the highest good of all. Unhealthy masculine energy is just very controlling of everything, technology and science, also all for its own, good, greatest good. Right now we have a slow drip of technology, and I just want to say, I had to point out this video for this because there will be no other video that explains this better than this video. Are you kidding me? Do you know what happened to this flight? I forgot about this flight, and then I watched this. I was like, oh my God, that's what happened to this flight. And we would have never figured this out. So I'm going to explain this just quickly, but I recommend you definitely watch this video. But basically, 2 videos were leaked by, I think a CIA guy, actually. His name comes out in the end of this video. He got in big trouble. He got in huge trouble for leaking this video. But it's basically a government operation where this was a big fuck you to China, because on this flight, there was 32 people that were making those microchip processors or something, kind of what we're in a battle with China with right now, which is who has the highest technology when it comes to these processors. Because we don't want any other country to be as powerful as us, which we're obviously very, very powerful. This is proof that the government has been hiding very, very high technology from us for a very long time. Like they already know about, free energy because, we know Tesla, like that's one example, but to use this kind of technology, you have to be in tune with like being able to use being in tune with the energy that is all around us that is actually free. And this technology, like if it was worldwide, like we couldn't be controlled. And it just proves that they give us the wrong science and they teach us the wrong history, the wrong science, and it is all for control. So this is a big example of like how the masculine energy is just so unhealthy right now. So I'll just show this little part of the video because it's very compelling. And by the way, this is drone footage, and then the other footage is like thermal footage. So it's like real footage from the government, and it is just mind-blowing. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it just goes, and this is just like, you kind of see it and you're just like, I'll just shut up so you guys can just watch because it's kind of insane. Like, okay, what are those orby things around it? What is happening to this flight? Poof, gone. What just happened? Did we just see a plane go into a wormhole? Because that's kind of like what it looked like. So I recommend like looking to that video because it actually is very inspirational because the guy who like kind of has been looking into this and got really insanely obsessive with looking into it is now teaching himself quantum physics and how it is actually very easy to like really learn all these things, but we have to get our focus in that right direction. And that's why school's so boring, because when you actually learn the real stuff with how to like know this stuff, it's actually very, very interesting and very, very exciting. And it can allow us as individual people to whoever wants to like go in the direction with creating higher technology for ourselves because it's not as complicated. They want to make it seem like it's complicated and everything, but it's not. Once you learn it, once you know it, we don't need to wait for Elon, like being Tony Stark or whatever. Like we all have the individual power if we want to like really dive into these things to teach ourselves and to create if we want to. There is mass efforts to get the masculine energy to focus on the wrong things like football, fighting, gossip, all the lower things that literally just do nothing for you versus really getting in tune with your inner being first, which is how you kind of get in tune with the higher planes, like fifth dimensional and above, and realize how we can be really, really powerful master manifestors. And that's the best way to say it, because with this area of the sky, this is all about ascension energy. Ophiuchus is the only man who became a god, and he did it through this portal right here that all religions pay attention to, because this is where the ascension energy is really coming from. And there has been times in histories where giant bursts of energy just are released through this area. And I think we're, kind of due for, we're probably going to have one of those in the upcoming years, not sure when. But yeah, the same story with Jesus, ascended into a higher being with godlike abilities. ascension, like where we ascend more so into light beings, where we have more so of our superhuman powers, where we have that super intelligence. We are very telepathic. We're intuitive. We radiate light. We're stronger. We're healthier because we're more embodied in our perfect body, basically. Like this isn't our perfect body, the 3D body. It's just like, it is a mirror image of that light body that doesn't get sick, that is more of our true body. Super intelligence, self-healing, immortality, telepathy, becoming a master manifestor. And being a master manifestor is just being able to really know the elements and being able to work with the elements. And whatever lore you want to look into, whether it's Horus, who, had a similar story with kind of ascending more so into a divine being, Krishna, Hercules, Buddha, all of them have to do with this point in the sky. This is the most important part of the sky where we can gain more of our true powers instead of falling prey to the tech transhumanism stuff that is being pushed right now. Because when we get in tune with this, we're getting in tune with the unlimited way to do things that the tech. This is how we can evolve into more of our superhuman selves in the organic way versus the big tech transhumanism path, which makes, it's going to mimic a lot of the things that we can actually do naturally. So it's going to sound nice, it's going to sound enticing, but it's very limiting because you can only stay in the 3D versus being able to get in touch with the higher dimensions where the real power is. Because I think, in the tech way, you can probably get to the 5th dimension, but you can't get above that. And it's a trap because who knows, like how much of that, if you get a lot of the tech stuff, how much of you still remains you at the end of the day. So these are the times that we're in. Okay, so let's go through all the signs. I didn't know how conspiracy, this was going to be. I think I really let my freak flag fly with this one. But I don't know, like Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan were talking about, if you don't actually think the real conspiracy is what the government has been telling us the whole time, that's the conspiracy. All these conspiracies have some truth to them. So anyway, I'm going to pull some cards too. So Aries, you yourself are going through a death and rebirth because Mars rules you. So expect, it's a little bit more internal realizations and really going within and getting aligned with yourself, because the 8th house also rules, that shadow house where you have recognizing where you might have suppressed yourself in any way, where you haven't been allowing your full life force to really show out in the world, where you're not allowing your soul to externalize in the most powerful way. So you can be the most radiant version of yourself. So you might be facing some triggers, some of those deeper emotions and everything, but it's all about powering through that and then letting yourself resurrect into a whole new version of you. So the archetype that you're releasing is the destroyer. Release what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. Shadow is intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. You're just releasing destructive tendencies where you're stepping into being more so of a martyr, which is learning the transcendent nature of service to oneself or a cause. So yeah, you're kind of connecting to that higher aspect of yourself so you can go after what really matters to you. You're recognizing a deeper cause, a deeper purpose, a higher way of being out in the world. And you're realizing, just the destructive patterns in the first place, they only came because you were suppressing yourself in some way. And, we don't realize that, when we get like angry at something or frustrated at something, when we get jealous, that's just all because we were repressing ourselves in some way. So you're kind of allowing yourself to step into a whole new version of you. Pilgrim came out. Um, and the pilgrim is like going on a new kind of voyage, a new kind of venture, but it's going to be something that brings you that joy, that soul joy, and that excitement. And the thread, it's coming, yeah, whatever you're getting in touch with, it's coming from a higher aspect of you. So definitely pay attention to your dreams and your intuition. This might be a really good time to kind of move with your intuition, where you follow your excitement, you follow your joy, and see where that kind of takes you. And sometimes it takes you on a little spiritual journey, but also at the same time realizing when it's time to rest. Like I rested this whole last week and I didn't realize why. And then I realized why later in the week, because then I would have a ton of energy to like, work when I needed to work versus like slow it down when there was going to be a lot of distractions and everything. So it's kind of like recognizing when you can move with your intuition like that, so you don't burn yourself out, so you actually get more so in alignment with where you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to create. And yeah, it is a little bit void time before you really see what you want to create and what you want to do. But that is the most important thing. Find that internal wisdom and really connect with your inner world. See what needs to be released and transmuted. See where you need that healing, so you can be that most empowered version of you on the other side. All right, Taurus. All right, Taurus. I don't like this program, how it does that. Sometimes it moves these up here. It's like, wait, it's over here. Okay, so the this is Mars is in your seventh house. So you might be going through kind of a rebirth transmutation moment when it comes to you and your relationships. The 12th house is also activated. So I think you can easily align, with your higher self and kind of go through internal cleansing when it comes to your masculine energy and where you were acting in alignment with your higher self, where you can be more in alignment moving forward, where you might have self-sabotage, that you can release those things. And yeah, just have that higher perspective and be in alignment with your masculine energy. And who are you partnering up with? How can you be in relationships in a healthier, um, powerful, more magnetic way? And I would think with this, with Ophiuchus in your seventh house, I think you have powerful relationships that do bring you a lot of that transmutation, that bring you a lot of that healing, in that soulful alignment. So what the archetype that you're evolving out of is oh wait, one sec. It seems like you're getting a little realistic in some way because child magical came out, with what you're kind of leaving behind. So, and it's not like you're leaving that behind, but you're leaving the ways that you kind of leaned too much into the Delulu versus actually taking action. I think, because the shadow attribute of child magical is pessimism, depression, disbelief in miracles, believing that energy and action are not required for growth. So realizing that there is a new way to take action that is in alignment with your magical beliefs and your inner child, and being optimistic, and realize that being optimistic lets you see more of the opportunities. And you're finding a lot of balance with that, with the judge that came out, balancing justice and compassion, fair distribution of power. So you might be going through a rebalancing with relationships in some way. But yeah, I like that. The judge kind of rules Libra and everything. So this could be like a relationship test, like back and forth between the masculine and the feminine that just like really evens things out. That would make sense because you're ruled by Venus, your significant other is ruled by Mars. So yeah, this is just, unifying that needs to be brought to the masculine, and then a little bit of masculine energy that needs to be brought to the feminine. So the Lovers came out. So I love that. That's just an indicator that you're dealing with a really strong soulmate connection. And realize that, relationships bring us the most spiritual growth and evolution, really. And it does come from, facing the mirror, really, and how the mirror can be triggering. But at the end of the day, it's like coming from within you. So realize like what can be adjusted in you so you stop, manifesting these situations kind of in your reality. And how can you approach relationships in the most healthiest way possible? That is more fair, that is more balanced, that is more reasonable, practical, but at the same time, bringing a higher level of love to your relationships. And I love that, strong soulmate connection that is helping you soulfully evolve into that greater essence of you, and not letting you stay small or stay in the wounds or stay in victim mindsets or whatever that is. You're finding your own pearl, from this connection. You're finding more of yourself. So yeah, I love that. This is also kind of like the twin flame card. So if some of you are going through that journey, that would kind of make sense for Taurus people to go through that too, with Ophiuchus in the 7th house. But yeah. All right, Taurus, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Gemini. So you have this energy going through your 6th house. So you could be extremely motivated when it comes to your health, diets, routines, exercise. You could go through some sort of transformation. When it comes to your work, switching up your schedule, maybe hiring someone, maybe working on something new, trying a different way of working on things. But yeah, letting your inner world speak to you and give you that guidance with how to move forward in the best way possible. And there can also be a transformation with your friends, groups, networks, and your hopes and dreams, because Mars rules your 11th house. So yeah, you could be looking at bigger dreams, bigger goals, and how can you get in alignment with that when it comes to your everyday life, to start heading in that direction. How can you get your everything aligned, mind, body, spirit, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, all in alignment with that bigger direction that you really want to go in. So what you're leaving behind is child nature. So there might be just a way that you ignored your own nature, needing to slow down when you slow down, needing to relax a little bit more, not push so hard, needing to enjoy like your environment and, the people around you and the animals around you. This could have to do with your animals too, because the 6th house rules the animals. So maybe there's a different way you deal with your animals, or a different way to take care of them, that can be healthier. And what you're also releasing is victim. So shadow of victim is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity and ability to maintain personal boundaries. And I don't know why this story is coming up right now, but like there was this guy who's actually really powerful who played the victim all the time. And it was so crazy to see like a guy do that, because he was the boss, he was in charge of everybody, but nobody could say anything against him. He wanted to do everybody's job. He thought he could do better than everybody, and that he was better than everybody. And he wouldn't let anybody speak. His way was always the right way. But yeah, it was confusing how he made himself the victim still, even though he was so domineering. So maybe you're going through something like that, but realize that if you're victimizing yourself, you let yourself be the victim. If you're telling yourself you're the victim, you're going to be the victim. If you're letting other people like claim themselves that they're the victim, then and you see them as the victim, you're victimizing them. So there's no more victim mentality, that doesn't allow us to step into our full sovereignty and recognize our real power to be just sovereign creators, and just creators in a way that is, in the highest, I don't know, in the most, that it's exciting and it's effortless when you really get in alignment with your soul and who you truly are, and you're really, in touch with your intuition and the feminine aspects, then you can create in a very easy, effortless way that's exciting and fun and really meaningful to you. So the maiden came out. I think there might be something new that you're stepping into. The maiden in the castle. So yeah, I think you might even be recognizing something when you were younger, but something kind of fresh, something beautiful that can be created and transformed, transformation into more beauty. And then the castle came out. Like you are recognizing what's worth building, what is really worth prioritizing, what's worth protecting. What is that higher castle vision that you're headed off to? That's very exciting. Anything else? Yeah, make time for, where your spirit is calling you, out into nature, out, into friendships. Because the 11th house rules your friendships. So maybe there's a transformation going on with your friendships, who's really like-minded and motivating you and elevating you to that highest direction. And who's empowering you. Also, who's playing the victim, kind of don't let anybody play the victim because it doesn't help anybody at the end of the day. All right, Gemini, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Cancer. So this is in your fifth house. So this is very exciting. The fifth house is like a major just alignment house. You can get in alignment with your heart, where your happiness, where your joy is, where you should put your creative energy so you can manifest more of what you really want. Versus using like, your energy and your passion and your creative drive, to go, have fun in the short-term gratification. You can really have the broader perspective with maybe creative projects that you can work on, a different way that you can have fun, a different way to express yourself out in the world, something that just feels way more in alignment with you. And that Mars rules your 10th house too. So that this is looking at your long-term goals. Long-term goals. Yeah, your legacy, and what you're going after for the long term. Who do you really want to be out in the world? What is that legacy that you want to leave out in the world? And you getting in alignment with your heart and where your heart's really calling you and your passions, and those that deeper and higher aspect of your soul. Where is that all calling you? So yeah, you can meet new friends during this time. Samaritan came out, so refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. Wait. So yeah, I think you're finding people who you want to work with, and who you can co-create with and maybe start creative projects. This would be a great time to start, a new way being on of social media, any creative project that feels like really aligned with you. This could be a good time to date even. Because yeah, there's a lot of passion there, a lot of excitement. And this could be boosting up your sex life in your current relationship too. You can have a lot more fun. And yeah, it looks like you're really getting into alignment with the people that you vibe with. You're on the same frequency. You just kind of get it. And what you're kind of outgrowing is child wounded. So maybe bonding with people that you trauma bond with, or maybe not, but like, where you feel like, I don't know, like that's still such a big thing in our society, is having trauma bonds and relating in that way. But then you get together and you realize you only talk about being traumatized. So it's like, okay, how can we just awaken more compassion and the desire to serve others, and just opening up our hearts to more forgiveness and more love? So we really find our people, and we find our people, that have gone through hard times and stuff too. But, there is a way that we can allow ourselves to become more powerful beings. Um, and look at the next mountain to climb and not stay victim or anything because of that. Couple more cards came out. Okay, so the one came out. So I think you're recognizing the oneness. There can be a very creative idea that just comes from that higher aspect of you, from your soul, that wants to be put out into this reality. In the village, you're going to be finding like-minded people to maybe even build with, maybe co-collaborate with. The siren, this kind of reminds me of like finding your sexy, really getting into yourself. And where do you feel that like sexy, passionate, feminine energy? If you want to do a lot of feminine energy work, actually, this could be powerful during this time, dancing and, getting that Kundalini energy up, actually. I think that can lead to a lot of inspirational ideas and everything also. And what else about the siren? I don't get the siren too often, but yeah. See the ways that you can like feel good, feel confident, feel hot, feel magnetic, and really step into your magic in a whole new way and feel empowered by that. All right, Cancer, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. All right, Leo. So this is happening. Mars is in your fourth house. So you can be going through kind of a deep internal dive to the core of your being, going through that like star rebirth stuff that we have to do. Sometimes we have to go deep and get really, aligned. And I think when planets go through, the fourth house and Ophiuchus, like this is our opportunity to do that. So we can become that radiant being. We can release all our traumas, and not all, but like any stories from the past, any wounds, any shadows that are within, so we can transmute that into more light, so we can radiate more light from the inside out, and feel really powerful with that. You could also be taking a lot of action around your home, making your home more comfortable, making your home a place that you really feel safe and secure in. And, that it really resonates with like what's going on internally. Whatever is going on externally in your home is what's going on internally too. So that's like a good measurement to be like, okay, is like my house clean? Do I need to get rid of stuff? Like, do I need to feel lighter? Stuff like that, it can give you ideas also with what you got to work through. And yes, the ninth and your ninth house could be going through a bit of a rebirth. So this is what you believe in. This is your spirituality, your beliefs about the world, your worldview. This could be higher knowledge, like college, or just higher knowledge that you're drawn to. You could be really going inward in hermit mode and spending more time at home, and then studying occult sciences or spirituality or mythology or whatever you're really interested in. Um, so yeah, whatever. It's really important to just get aligned with the core of who you are, and then, find that meaning and purpose externally during this time, because the ninth house rules meaning and purpose. And yeah, what story do you want to tell yourself? The storyteller came out. So storyteller, ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. So realize what a powerful storyteller you are. And with the Leos, always, it's like sharing your own story actually does uplift, the collective, because people can see how, someone's been through it and they can relate and everything. And it's all about turning those stories, into more light. And you're releasing shapeshifter. So shapeshifter, when light, skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. Shadow is projecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment. So yeah, this is kind of like you getting in touch with yourself at that higher level that's also connected to unity. So instead of maybe scaling the different perceptions, like third dimension perception and fifth dimension perception, like staying at fifth dimension perception, versus staying in your own personal 3D limited story. Yeah, and right now is a really powerful time to do that. In the Mayan calendar, it's the electric blue eagle wave spell right now, and that's my totem actually. And David Bowie's too, where we have the natural ability to just have that wide view of things, to be a little bit like outer space kind of view. That's why I am the way I am. Um, a distant, wide view that is very like not even on Earth. It's like it's like recognizing Earth for what it is, like, the bigger picture of why we're all here. And Earth is really just an Earth experiment. And we're all just souls here evolving and growing and, shifting into that better version of ourselves as we go along. And yeah, sometimes it's very helpful, especially with this energy, to release your personal story, release it, just get out of your personal story and get into that wide view lens of life and of Earth and of humanity and of people. And yeah, just zoom all the way out so you can come back as that higher version of yourself, that can be here with a higher story. So that's what you're getting in tune with. And I love how that really resonates with the, energy that's going on right now, with the Blue Eagle energy. As the temple, you're finding your own inner temple and you're getting aligned with your own inner prayers. And it is always best to do that, like from that higher aspect of yourself, so you can release the shadow. And sometimes we don't see our shadow, but yeah, we can see it from a distance. But we can see how we can integrate the shadow from those little personal stories that when you go on that little adventure, you realize, like, it doesn't matter. Like whatever stories were holding you back, that were keeping you in your shadow, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And the more that you can just find the power in your shadow, the more powerful you are. And yeah, people that trigger your shadow the most, like that is a gift always. Like I wish I knew this, like when I was younger, like the trigger that you get from other people, that is the shadow that will make you super, super powerful. Like, for example, there was this one guy who just wanted to like hate me for whatever reason. Like he's kind of a mess. you know, himself. He's like wait, I don't want to say who he is. Um an in wait, 1 second. Let me think. Like a distant family member, but not like my family member. So, but you know, I have to deal with him. So, you know, he just has a lot of his own shadows. Like, and he has a run-on brain. Like, he has not done like shadow work like a day in his life. So I come around, I trigger the shadows out of him, and I just, you know, realized like I needed to just, you know, not take it. I needed to put up the boundaries. I need to spend less time. I need to not be afraid to like point out his shadow. Like to like I don't need to hang out with this person. Like stop making me hang out with this person because like he needs to deal with his own shadow really. Like, and you know, he's kind of facing that more so now in the harsher ways because that's what happens when you don't deal with your own shadow. But yeah, recognize the ways that like, you know, you don't need to be just like the good one, you know, we're so like trained to be like the good girl, versus like standing up for yourself, being the bitch every now and then, because that's how feminine energy is actually powerful, is drawing the boundary, drawing that line, like saying no, listening to your intuition. And yeah, finding the power with that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Leo. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Virgo. Okay, so this is happening in your third house. And I love the third house for manifestation because it literally is, what are you doing every day? What are you reading? What are you writing? What are you listening to? How are you speaking to yourself every day? And this is like the most important thing. Like, where is your energy going on a daily basis? And is it lifting you up? Are you telling yourself the good stories? Are you like being Delulu? Are you, you know, and it takes a while to like realize like how Delulu like you can be and elevate yourself so much more. And like that's my advice. Um, so yeah, you can be realize how powerful you can be in your daily life, with taking action towards your hopes and dreams and visions and what you really want to manifest, whatever you want to create in your reality. And you could feel motivated to start something, create something, write, blog, approach online stuff in a whole different way, kind of go through a transmutation with that to see like how you can show up in your everyday life in a way that is totally in alignment with who you truly are. And Mars also rules the eighth house. So going through an internal rebirth too, where you can face some of your own, you know, shadows or the own things that you suppressed in yourself. Um, Maybe you felt like guilty and stopped yourself from doing something. Maybe you stopped yourself from going after a project because you're like, oh, what would they say? What would they think? And yeah, you're just getting in tune with your life force energy. And instead of maybe getting too many cards, too distracted in your everyday life with things that are escapist, but like, I don't know, like we can be so unaware sometimes if we let ourselves be unaware of what we're doing every day. We can waste like in 2 hours on TikTok or whatever, whatever, like wherever we can be more in alignment with the core of who we truly are, so we can bring more of the core of who we truly are external, is what you're kind of being realigned with in that way. So it is going to be a very powerful time to go internal and ask yourself those questions, become aware of, you know, the dialogue that has been keeping you playing small. So you can really align yourself with the bigger, grander story that is more fitting of who you truly are. So Scribe came out. Yeah, it's time to tell yourself, um, when light, preserving knowledge and information. So yeah, you might be writing something down. This is like a writing project or writing down, starting a book or something like that. But I think there's a lot of power with what was I going to say? So maybe that's what it is. It's like something like brilliant ideas, actually, that you were like, that like, you have these insights and they're amazing and they're just like eye-opening, and maybe you forget them the next moment. So write them down, write these brilliant ideas down. Um, Inscribing, some people love to manifest in that way because it helps you write out like your future and where you're going, who you're going to be. You want to write it down in the present tense or even in the past tense. I heard even in the past tense is more powerful because you're like, I've completed this, and it's like jumping your energy to like it already being completed. So it happens a lot faster. But whatever really works for you. And then, yeah, journaling can be very powerful since this is dealing with your eighth house. You can get that awareness. If a shadow pops up, really like figuring it out. And I heard this thing that like our blocks don't really even exist. So there's no need to like go and look for whatever blocks and whatever. Like they just show up when they show up, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you just realize that's an illusion that you created for yourself, or that reality created or was programmed, or yada, yada. So, guide came out. Light attribute represents nature of the divine and in yourself. So, I think, yeah, guide can show up like maybe your spirit animal, an owl. Um, but you looking for the signs and the synchronicities and maybe tuned into the divine in your everyday life can open you up a lot more during this time. So realize how, like, when you release control, actually, because Virgos sometimes have a tendency to like need to plan long term and needing to control too much. When right now, like, there's a lot of power with not controlling as much and actually living more so in the moment, and listening more so to your intuition when it comes to when you should move, when you should take action, when you should go towards this thing, when you should start this thing. What are you interested in? Sometimes you need to follow your interest and see where it kind of takes you, to go where you really need to go. And yeah, you're releasing addict. So there might be something that you're just recognizing a behavior that's addictive, or a way that you took action that was addictive in your everyday life that, doesn't serve you. And you're becoming aware of that. So you can really release that. So you can really be more so in attunement on a daily basis with who you truly are, where you're going, when it comes to that bigger picture and what's soulfully fulfilling. What brings your soul joy? That long-term joy, satisfaction. Head in that direction. And yeah, all right, Virgo, thank you so much. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Never mind, because I didn't pull one of these for you. Let me pull one of these for you. The prayer and the stone. So the prayer came out. I think you're really getting in tune with yourself at that higher level. You're receiving messages. You're getting that faith restored and that belief restored, and you're finding the magic in the stone. You're going to be really solid with it. Like this is going to be kind of like the anchor that really like solidifies your beliefs and what you're doing every single day to go towards that prayer, and that manifestation. All right, Virgo, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Libra. Okay, sorry. So this is in your second house. So you're going to be motivated to make money, and you might be going through an upgrade with what you value. And is it aligned with the actions that you are taking on an everyday basis, on a daily basis, with what you value? That's really important, to really pay attention to what you value in life. Because the more that you can align your everyday actions towards that, the more you're going to have more of what you value. So realize how you can elevate the things that you value and put more focus on that. So you can make more money, just spend more time on what you value. So you just have more abundance in your life. And yeah, and your seventh house is going through a rebirth too. Mars rules your seventh house. So this is your relationships too. So who do you hang out with every day? Are they exciting you? Are they uplifting you? Are they co-collaborating with you in the best way possible? Um, Venus rules you, um, Mars rules your significant other. So maybe there's just a little like butting heads that kind of goes on that causes some evolution during this time. But that is always very, very powerful. Your partner could be going a little bit more internal, or they're very focused on the bigger picture and what they really want to create. So yeah, what you're evolving out of is the prostitute, which these are just archetypes. And prostitute, when light is accentuates the challenges of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. Shadow places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. So you're getting yourself aligned with making money at that higher level where you don't feel like you're selling yourself out. You're making sure your values are aligned with the ways that you make money. And yeah, that's just going to create more and more abundance. And Exorcist Night came out. So yeah, somebody coming in with more loyalty and romance and chivalry and love. So that's really beautiful. I think your love life can definitely get a really nice boost. When you upgrade what you value in your relationship and have those conversations and, allow the transformation to happen in your relationship, things can, a higher love can really come out. And then Exorcist came out. So light attribute, freeing yourself and others from destructive impulses. So yeah, this could be a moment where what needed to be talked about is coming up to be talked about. And in relationships, you just have to do that, to have a stronger relationship. So it's not like suppressing anything that you needed to suppress to keep the peace. I know Libras have a tendency to do that. And you're just really putting it out there because you will be loved anyway. And you could be upgrading your own self-worth and your own value during this transit too. And yeah, maybe you're going through your own internal transformation. So you can align. So you can have a boosted up version of you, the medallion. So money can definitely be coming in. Maybe you discover a new way to start that project, a new income stream, a new business, really follow what you're really being called to, because if you get a really good idea during this time, that could be something that can bring it in a lot of abundance for you. And the Bardo came out. So yeah, this is kind of what's being released. The Bardo is like eighth sphere stuff. If you don't know about the eighth sphere, you can look at Gigi Young. She talks about it a lot, but it's literally all the things that keep us kind of trapped in that lower consciousness. And it's just fears, like it's our shadow. It's, the limited ways of being that is very 3D, where you can kind of go through this transformation. And when you just have awareness of the eighth sphere, even though it's kind of a scary thing, it actually does give you more free will and power. So yeah, you could be really releasing any lack or limiting mindsets that weren't real, because lack and scarcity is just created here. That illusion is created here on purpose, so we can be controlled. And the more that you can kind of go through those realizations, the more powerful you can be with creating the abundance that you truly deserve. And you're creating abundance that is in alignment with your soul and who you truly are, and not, selling yourself, not selling your time and your energy in a way where you just feel like you're selling yourself out, so you're getting in alignment with that. That is very, very powerful. It's going to lead you towards more money and more love coming your way. All right, Libra, if you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. All right, Scorpio and Ophiuchus. So this is happening in your sign in your first house. So you could be extremely motivated. You could be going through a transformation with how can you show up as that more powerful version of yourself that is in alignment with who you truly are? How can you externalize it? How can you get in alignment every single day with how you're taking action? Are your actions aligned with your inner being and what you want to create, what you want to do? Mars rules your sixth house too. So that is what you do on an everyday basis. It's your work, it's your habits, it's your routines, it's your diet, the way you take care of your body, exercise, your work. And so you could be going through kind of just a transmutation with how you do all of that, and how that can all be more so aligned with you being that most powerful version of you. So Slave came out. Light attribute, surrendering your power of choice to the divine with complete trust. Shadow, giving your power to an external authority out of fear of making your own choices. So you're getting through your own fears. And I was almost going to say that too, because the winds just like kicked up so heavily right when I was like starting your sign. So it's like, it might be some just sort of irrational fears. Like we get programmed from like horror movies or whatever. Oh my God, just because it's like a rainy night, it doesn't mean like, I don't know, like Freddie or Jason's going to come in here or whatever. Like, just because it's like raining, I don't know. Like Californians are so, they literally act like the world is ending when it's raining. And I was acting that way today too. And I was like, why? Like, why? But, so it's just that kind of thing. Like you're recognizing that, maybe too much reliance on the 3D and the ways you were looking for external validation or, the 3D support, versus just trusting in your inner being and the messages that you're getting in the signs and the synchronicities, and having faith and trust, or, whatever, however you get in touch with having true faith and trust in the universe, versus giving your willpower away out of fear, shame, guilt, anything like that, where all of society is basically made when it comes to school, when it comes to work, TV, like what we watch, like anything that has to do with society basically right now keeps you in guilt, shame, fear, like not expressing yourself and your true identity, wanting to fit in, wanting to be validated, all of that. So you're recognizing your internal authority in a more powerful way. And you're realizing your ability to manifest in a more powerful way too. So Scribe came out. And Scribe is, a powerful way of manifesting. You can, write things out in the present tense or the past tense. Past tense, like it's already been completed. So you can kind of jump to that energy and, just be really attuned to that energy so things can happen a lot faster. Or you write it in the present moment, like you are that. So you kind of get in, so you just realize that you are that right now. And the more that you can just realize that you are that, and if you just decide to be that, you can be that right now, So it doesn't take like, it just, the more you get in tune with like being able to align your external self with those internal shifts, like immediately, then the more powerful that you can be actually out in the world. So see how you can externalize that more powerful version of you. Creator, yep. You're realizing how you can become a more masterful creator. There might have been ways that you were holding yourself back, that you were, giving your authority away in some way. And there's so many ways that we just have a natural tendency to give our authority away. Don't worry about it. Like I'm still discovering ways where I give my authority away, and it's just like, so annoying. But you're realizing all you need to truly rely on is that gem within you, that that is basically the core of your soul, that is brilliant, that is radiant, that nobody can take away from you. That the more that you externalize that, the more people can really just appreciate that gem for who you truly are and everything. And it's allowing you to step into more of this creator mode. The creator mode is like realizing how much you can have so much more freedom, and how you can really ascend, into higher consciousness, actually, when you do create, when you do put yourself out there in different ways, when you let yourself go after what you really want, when you create your life in the way that is super meaningful to you and exactly how you want it. Yeah. So that's exciting. Go create, go manifest in very powerful ways. Scorpio. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Sagittarius. Okay, so this is happening in your 12th house. So you might not be sleeping very well, but this is an amazing time to have a dream journal, because when you're getting vivid dreams, this is you getting in touch with that bigger aspect of you. So you're a lot less limited. So you can literally step into past versions of yourself, or future versions of yourself, or past lifetimes, other lifetimes, that bigger soul aspect of you in other dimensions, whatever. There's no limits there. So you can get really powerful insights with Mars going through your 12th house. And maybe some of these realizations, like have a dream journal, really help you just bust through whatever subconscious fears that were actually holding you back, that weren't allowing you to take action in your everyday life, that is actually in alignment with who you truly are. So you could be getting in touch with your higher self in a very powerful way, even though it might not always be comfortable. And then Mars rules your 5th house. So you might be going through a transformation with 5th house things, which is fun, passion, creativity. It's just what your heart wants to do, what's really exciting to you, what does bring you that true joy to your soul. Because there's so much in society where we get kind of just stuck with, I don't know, programmed with just that short-term gratification for fun, like going out, having a beer, having a cigarette or whatever, versus putting our creative energy towards long-term things that bring us that true joy, that really externalize our creative abilities. And when we do that, when we, put more energy into manifesting or creating, it actually allows us to show up more as our true selves out in the world. And it allows you to radiate and shine and have a lot more fun and be on your Dharma timeline and all of that. So realizing where you've been holding yourself back from creating in a way that is truly in alignment with your heart. And maybe going through a transformation with how you love, because the 5th house is all about love and relationships too. So you can, dissolve more boundaries when it comes to your heart and who you love, how you want to express yourself to your significant other. You might be facing back when it comes to back to the past, when it comes to certain relationships, and going through a transformation with that. So yeah, what came out for you is scribe. So scribe's coming out a lot. This is like the manifestation card, because when you scribe, when you write your manifestations down, you can write down like who you are, like your identity now, and what identity you're stepping into, or writing your manifestations down in the present moment or even in the past tense, because that helps you energetically connect to just jumping into that timeline. I like to scribe personally, and then I like to imagine, like writing what I want to manifest down helps a lot more for me to visualize it. So these are ways that you can, just allow your imagination to really, kick up a notch. But when planets are in the 12th house, your imagination is very strong. And your imagination is actually just a quantum manifestation tool. If you can imagine it, there is a version of you living that reality and doing that thing. And any skill and talent that you have right now is being actualized in some reality with one version of you, because there's multiple universes. We live in a quantum reality actually, and it's all about you choosing what version you want to be, what life you want to live, all of the things, and getting alignment with that and choosing it. And the seeker, so thirst for wisdom, truth, wherever they are. So sometimes the fifth house is like just our passions. It could be spirituality, it could be whatever you're really passionate about. And that can, lead you on a little adventure to find the things that you want to find that will kind of take you where you want to be. Oh yeah, the 12th house also does rule, traveling to foreign lands too. So maybe you go on like a spiritual retreat or something. Maybe you need to just get away for a bit so you really can find yourself in a whole new way. Ooh, so the healer card came out. Ooh, I love that. So yeah, you're kind of going in the depths, like of your being, of your soul, and you're bringing the dark to light and going through a lot of transformation with that. Maybe a lot of your internal world, but with that, you're going to find the flame, which is like your passion, and that spark that gives you that direction. So maybe you have a little bit more downtime while this is happening, but then Mars goes into Sagittarius and boom, you're off to the races towards like that spark, towards that idea that Sagittarius, when you feel it, and you go. Anyway. And then the healer came out. So you're going through the Ouroboros right now, which, by the way, our Milky Way is the Ouroboros. And that's just going on internally in you right now. This is literally the perfect card for having Ophiuchus in your 12th house. So realize what cycles that you've outgrown so you can really step into elevated cycles, because that's all we're doing here. Like time is actually circular, and we're constantly going around and just elevating into higher circles. So know what you're done with, and leave that in the past, and then know what is motivating you to go into the future to be that higher version of yourself, and in alignment with your actions, with your hopes and dreams and wishes, and what's truly in alignment with your heart. All right, Sagittarius, if you would like reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Capricorn. Okay, so this has to do with your 11th house, which the 11th house is kind of fun. It's your hopes and your dreams and your visions for the future. It's looking at the big picture. It's dreaming the biggest dream that you can possibly dream and getting into alignment with that. You might go through a little bit of a transformation so you can elevate like what maybe you are at a certain point of what you've manifested, and now it's time to aim higher and really just connect with that bigger vision with where your soul is really truly calling you. And yeah, the 11th house is also your friends, like-minded people, your networks, groups that you work with. It's social media. This could be a powerful new way to show up on social media, figuring out how you can be more in alignment with who you truly are, and, putting that out there in a more raw and authentic way, not holding your self back so much. And then the fourth house. So you're going through a rebirth when it comes to your fourth house, which is your your inner being, the core of who you truly are, and recognizing more of yourself as an individual, so you can, connect with, so you can put yourself out there in that more individual, authentic way. Yeah, this could be like you recognizing childhood dreams too, and realigning with those, because our natural gifts and talents we have when we're kids, like it's the same stuff that we're interested in when we're kids, that we kind of have a knack for, that you can get realigned with. And yeah, anything else? Yeah, maybe you're deciding to like reorganize your home, kind of do stuff around the house and make it more in alignment with who you are. Okay, so yeah, weird cards came out. Like this was a one where I'm like, okay. So monk came out. When light, selfless, devoted, single-minded, dedicated to spirit. So yeah, you're kind of releasing the ways that you might have isolated yourself off from the world in a way that was like maybe supposed to be spiritual or something, or you were dedicated to something, but you're realizing how, it was kind of actually keeping you more so in your own shadow. And martyr came out. So you're learning to transcend nature of service to oneself or a cause. You're recognizing a higher cause to really step into, that is freeing to yourself and does kind of allow your heart to be put more so out into the world, and yeah, just kind of elevates you. And Messiah came out. So serving humanity with humility. So there's some sort of humility, but that's always so powerful when you realize a new way to be humble. You open up more, you kind of become like this guy. You free yourself like even more so, and you connect with others, and you like really, yeah, just find more expansion and more love. And so, yeah, a little bit of shadow work with this. Sometimes we manifest like stuff from our ego sometimes. And, because it's just how society is set up. So it keeps us stuck in our ego. Like Ariana Grande kind of did this. She's like, oh, as a kid, I always wanted to be Glenda, and now she's Glenda. She like totally channeled Glenda, and now Glenda can't get out of her, and she can't go back to being Ariana. Like that, I feel like that whole movie is cursed. Like anyone that plays the witches, like are always different after. But anyway, I hope she goes back to being that bigger, larger than life Ariana Grande versus like shutting herself smaller into Glenda. But yeah, it's finding that hope and dream that is just so aligned with who you truly are and going in that direction. Realizing that, yeah, the more that you can be a martyr, like for your heart first, then that's where you can like overflow and fill everyone else's cup. Um, there's like, I don't know, it looks like the Siren and the Lover came out. So there might be like a love dilemma or something. The Siren, like, Siren's not the best card because it's like maybe you felt called in a certain direction, but again, the Sirens, the mermaids like sunk the ships or wanted the ships to crash into the rocks or whatever. But true love is coming your way too at the same time. The Lover is like the divine counterpart. It is kind of like the twin flame card and everything. And yeah, you might be going through a transformation with love, how you love. Maybe you're in a relationship and they're triggering you a little bit, but that's just so you can evolve into higher levels of love and recognize where you can both be bigger, better versions of yourself. All right. So yeah, love that for you, Capricorn. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio. Hi, Pisces. Okay, so this is happening in your ninth house. And your ninth house is the fun house. It's your Dharma house. It's the Sagittarius house. So it's like you're going on a soul adventure, somewhere you feel called or somewhere you feel passionate about. You could be exploring the world. You could be diving into some sort of spiritual practice or learning something new or expanding your worldview. That just feels soulfully aligned. When planets go through the ninth house, we usually kind of get called towards something that's truly meaningful to us. So we get more in alignment on our Dharma path, which is fun, exciting, liberating, all the things, out of the karma, which is where we get stuck in lower dense cycles. And yeah, maybe you go through a transformation with your beliefs. Are you taking action? Are your beliefs in alignment with what you truly want? I think that's really important to recognize because sometimes we have beliefs that we're like, oh, well, we can only have this much money, or we can only have this, we can only have that, we're capped off here. But what do you truly want? What do you want to go after? What do you want to create? What is meaningful to you? What do you really value? Because Mars actually rules your second house too. So you personally realizing what you value so you can spend more of your energy on that. This can be a major realignment with the bigger picture, and you can get sudden insights, from your higher self that just come through like this path, this is the direction, this is how you do it, prioritize this. And it's like a aha moment, where you can be so motivated and have your actions every day in alignment with that bigger vision, with what you want to do. Let's see. You could be releasing a lot of limiting mindsets, so you can raise into higher beliefs, whether it is about money, whether it is what you believed you could possibly create. Let's see. So storyteller came out. That makes sense. You're going through a transformation with your stories. So, storyteller when light, ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. I think you're really going through a transmutation with the story that you tell yourself, so you can like tell yourself better stories, like motivating, uplifting ones, so you can go where you really need to go. At the same time, you're finding out where you're a student. So sometimes, especially if we've been studying something for so long, we can get so stuck in thinking that we know it all. But, like astrology, lo and behold, I've been doing this forever, but I just suddenly switched to the true sky because I kept on getting that nudge. I kept on getting that inkling. And then, I didn't know why it would come back like every year. And then I know why now, because I did it this year and I fully just let myself be curious and explore it. And I'm like, oh my God, I was stuck in a box that whole time. Like the box of tropical astrology bullshit, actually. Like I was stuck in that and I wish I busted out of that a lot sooner. So recognize where you might be capping yourself off when it comes to your belief systems or whatever. Let yourself become a student, and you can only do that when you allow yourself to be humble. And you just remain open to lifelong learning, because we will never know it all, especially at this density. The cave came out. So yeah, you're kind of realizing what is really meaningful to you. You're going within yourself. You're finding that spark. You're finding like just internally what is meaningful to you. And the Siren and the Lover came out too. So this could have to do with like transmuting beliefs about love. Like maybe you had a negative story about some sort of relationship or something that you can kind of transmute. Because whatever story that we're telling ourselves, whatever judgment we have it within ourselves is what we attract more so into our reality. So it's important to become aware of that so you can tell yourself a better love story. And I think that's what wants to happen with the Lover. You're getting aligned with the higher love story, and you can go through this transmutation. If you're in a relationship, you can realize like what beliefs you've had about love that has been keeping you limited. Or if you want to meet somebody, if you just kind of take off more and more blinders so you can meet like the one, and so you can run into the one maybe. Maybe you meet the one abroad. Maybe you run into your twin flame. Yeah, see how you can, what stories can you tell yourself that align you with love? Because your beliefs create your reality. So just make powerful beliefs to create whatever reality that you want to create. Benny, she just ran that way. Okay, thank you so much, Pisces. If you would like a reading, check out my link in bio.